Connor Bedard was far and away the best rookie in this class, leading in goals, in points, and dominating on a pitiful Chicago team. But after a huge hit sustained against Brandon Smith and the New Jersey Devils, which put him out for 6 weeks with a jaw injury, now that lock as a Calder Trophy favorite has come into question. And in the wake of Bedard's absence, we've seen some rookies step it up, with Marco Rossi, Fantilli, Luke Hughes, Zari, and especially Brock Faber playing fantastic as of late. So as of right now, who is and who will be the Calder Trophy favorite? And has Connor Bedard's Calder Trophy lock slipped away completely? Make sure you watch till the end as we go through this complete Calder Trophy race, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more breakdowns just like this all throughout the hockey season. Now, for a lot of folks, including myself, coming into the season, Connor Bedard was by far the Calder Trophy favorite. And even though we have seen some first overall picks struggle recently in their first year, like Alexis Lafreniere, Jack Hughes, Yuri Slavkovsky, Connor Bedard was shaping up to be the exception to that rule. And even though there were some concerns over how he would be able to match the physical intensity of the NHL, he was about as good of a bet for the Calder Trophy that we've seen as a first overall pick since really Austin Matthews. And really, Connor Bedard would hit the ground running, 3 points in his first 3 games, and after his first 13 games in the NHL, he had 9 goals, 4 assists for 13 points. Just overpowered. But in his next 13 games, he would go down to 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points, still having quite a few great plays and trying his hardest. But Chicago was sustaining a lot of injuries, the losses were starting to rack up, and it was not looking too pretty. But even though there were so many injuries and they were decimated by a horrible roster around him, Connor Bedard was still able to put up great numbers, and in his next 13 games, got 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points, and was still looking fantastic in the offensive end. But unfortunately, we can't have good things in the NHL, and against the New Jersey Devils, he got absolutely laid out against Brendan Smith and suffered a serious jaw fracture. It would take him out a substantial amount of time out of the All-Star game as well, and really put a damper on not just the Blackhawks season, but his as well. And unfortunately for Connor Bedard, just like in Connor McDavid's rookie year, it might not be enough to salvage a Calder Trophy run in the end. Because one defenseman from the Minnesota Wild is coming for his throne. Now, we'll break down the Calder Trophy race in a second, but first, let's talk about today's sponsor in Sleeper Fantasy. Do you think you know hockey? Then try to turn that hockey knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn your game day into payday. On the Sleeper app, you can make your daily NHL picks, picking more or less for every single player out there. With every single stat, you can pick more or less on goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal. For the last one we did on the channel, we had actually a pretty big win here. $79 won in a pretty good haul here. After going through a bunch of different players and trying to see what I wanted, we're actually going to go here with 3 picks. Victor Hedman, higher than 0.5 points versus Arizona. He's been hot lately. Leo Carlsson, coming back from injury. He's been great since then. I think he's going to get a point versus Dallas. And then Kirill Kaprizov, more than 0.5 assists versus Nashville. He has been unreal as well over the last 20 games or so. I think these are going to hit big. And of course, you can do it for other sports like the NBA and NFL going on as well, with big games coming up in the NFL playoffs. So of course, make sure you go in the description, click on the link, and download Sleeper Fantasy, and use the code GRAB when you make your first deposit, and you can get up to a $500 match. And thank you so much to Sleeper Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back here to the Connor Bedard Calder Trophy race here, and why it really has changed so much since Bedard's jaw injury versus New Jersey. Again, you can see as an 18-year-old, 33 points in 39 games this year. But the thing is, we already started to see public opinion kind of sway in a different direction, with Brock Faber of the Minnesota Wild getting a lot of attention, especially over the last month. Now, looking at the complete NHL rookie leaderboard, you can still see Bedard is leading by 5 points in terms of rookies, and in terms of points per game, I mean, it's not even really close in terms of players that are actually playing right now. Leo Carlsson is the one closest, but you see in terms of even strength goals, still leading, even strength points, he's tied with Marco Rossi right now, and in terms of shots too, I mean, he is just also at the top of the game while also missing a ton of games here. And there's some other good forwards that have competed for that top 3 spot in the Calder Trophy. Marco Rossi has been brilliant this season in a top line role with Minnesota and has really been a consistent player for them. Connor Zary as well has been awesome this season, after getting called up in the end. And you can see this year, 22 points in 37 games, and kind of a versatile role that's kind of shape-shifted throughout the year. Zari has been able to match that, and points-wise has stayed one of the most consistent rookies out there. But really, nobody gives Connor Bedard more competition than Brock Faber, who has really done it all this season with the Minnesota Wild and is now shaping up to be an incredible Calder race between Bedard and Faber. It already was, but now we're starting to see Faber get even more attention as the days go by. At 21 years old, as a 45th overall pick, he's not the sexy pick by any means. You can see this year in 47 games, has 24 assists for 28 points, has been a rock on that Minnesota defense. And especially now with Spurgeon gone, he's had to they've really relied on him so much to not just play minutes, but be unreal in those minutes. And he has been pretty incredible in doing so. And when we take a look at all rookies right now that have played over 500 minutes at 5-5, you can see Brock Faber is third in expected goals against per 60 and first among defensemen, really playing stout defensively. And in terms of the 17 rookies that qualify, he's ninth in terms of offense expected goals for per 62, which ain't too bad. You also look at how much Brock Faber is playing, and it's kind of ridiculous that he hasn't gone completely shelled with the minutes he's playing. As a rookie, he's playing 24 minutes and 44 seconds of average time on ice per game. That is the average. He's played games where he's played over 30 minutes, and that's happened a lot lately. And he's 4 minutes above second place, which right now is Simone Nemec with the New Jersey Devils, who's played a lot less games as him, so that could be even more inflated. The way that Faber is playing with how much he is playing honestly doesn't just make him a Calder candidate. He's been one of the most valuable players in the entire league. The fact that Minnesota is still in a competitive situation, Faber is one of the reasons because of that, if not the main reason. I mean, dude, just look at this defense. He, yes, is playing with Jonas Brodin, but look at below that. I mean, Jacob Middleton is fine, but you got Dakota Mermis, Alex Goligoski, Zach Bogosian at this stage. These are not defensemen that are reliably going to be playing amazing minutes for you. Yet Brock Faber, with the Spurgeon injuries and all the losses that Minnesota had on the defense before, like Matt Dumba as well, has had so much responsibility thrust upon him. And again, the fact that he's putting up the results he's doing and is not getting shelled defensively is a straight miracle. Let's not even just look at rookies. Let's look at all NHL players here today in time on ice per game. And you can see that Brock Faber is 11th in the NHL right now. He plays more per game than Roman Josi, Charlie McAvoy, Victor Hedman, Quinn Hughes, for goodness gracious sake. This guy is an animal. But folks, this is really the cream of the crop, the best stat with Brock Faber this year. This is defensemen in the NHL at 5-on-5 that have played over 800 minutes this year at 5-on-5. You can see 38 defensemen qualify. And out of all of those D, Brock Faber has the best expected goals against per 60 out of all of them. Out of the 60 minutes, he's expected to allow the least amount of goals while he's on the ice. He's 21 years old, man. And you would maybe think, hey, maybe he's playing great at the early start of the year, but with the injuries, he's getting sheltered a lot more and playing a lot worse. Well, no, in the last 10 games, he has 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points, is playing an average time on ice of 25 minutes and 3 seconds. He's playing more than he was at the start of the season and producing more too. The guy is insane. Of course, as we all know, the Calder Trophy is given out to the best rookie every single year. And I think for a lot of people, they've started to realize that the best rookie might not be the one that scores the most amount of points. And especially in Brock Faber's case, he's right now second in point scoring. He's not bad whatsoever. He's putting up pretty good point totals, especially recently. And now that's coming along with the defensive acumen that he's already had. There was a point in time, especially with Faber, before I would say the start of this production, where you can make the case where he's a Calder candidate, but maybe not my necessary favorite, just because Bedard was just in the worst situation possible and was still putting up the results he was doing. But now with Minnesota and how many injuries they've had now, with Spurgeon out for the entire season, you could say the exact same thing about Brock Faber and his situation with the Wild. Just like Bedard, they have had to rely on Faber on the defensive side to be the guy, to play big minutes and to put up results. And like Bedard did offensively, Faber's doing it defensively, and now on offense, he's putting up numbers too. And yes, obviously, Bedard did not have a lot to work with in Chicago, and he probably would have gotten a lot more points if he did. I mean, just look at this lineup. But again, look at what Faber is having to do with this defense. Sure, he has a pretty solid partner in Brodin, which is making it a little bit easier. But in terms of actual playing time, it's not making it any easier. They have had to rely on that pair so much since they've been paired together to create results and to really be the driver in everything, both defensively and offensively. You're not going to be getting much offense from Zach Bogosian, I know that. So Faber has not just had to step up defensively as a 21-year-old physically, but also on offense, and he's come up amazingly. The guy continues to get better, which I'm not even sure was possible. Obviously, sure, a player can get better, but considering the situation and how much more time he's had to play, it's a miracle that he's still doing what he's doing. You look at the wildcard race here, and even though Minnesota's 7th among Western teams here, they are only a couple of wins away from being in that second wildcard spot. And considering they've won 3 straight, Faber being a massive part of that, this is a team that could go far with Faber's help. Really, the consistency that he has brought on the defense, even before the injuries, was instrumental to their success. Now he is the guy on that entire team doing all the work and doing everything necessary. And thankfully, we've seen Kaprizov play a lot better recently as well, but Faber has been the consistent GOAT from day one for this Minnesota Wild roster. I guess it can kind of remind you a little bit of the 2016 Calder Trophy race where Connor McDavid, who came into the year as the Calder Trophy favorite by far, had that big injury, which really set things back, even though he was still able to get 3rd in the Calder Trophy race. You could see a defenseman like Shane Gostisbehere was able to reach ahead of him and have a great year points-wise and really look good, and Artemi Panarin obviously was unreal. But just imagine if Shane Gostisbehere was also one of the best defensemen defensively already at 21 years old. That's the type of competition that Bedard is facing here. I could see a situation where Brock Faber ends up around the 50-point mark and Minnesota is a playoff team and his contributions are a major reason why. And if that's able to happen, I'm not really sure you could go against Brock Faber being the best overall rookie. Again, when we're talking about the Calder Trophy race, it's not just the best scorer, it's not just the best offensive player, but the best overall rookie. And what Faber has been able to do, not just being the best defensive rookie, but one of the best defensive players while putting up the numbers he's put up, it's hard to go against him right now. But it's such a good debate because Connor Bedard is 18 and obviously isn't going to be putting up the defensive numbers that a player like Brock Faber would, or even some other older forwards, and that's okay. I think with Bedard, even if he doesn't end up winning the Calder, to me, especially with the injury, it's not a bad thing whatsoever. Bedard has still been offensively the best rookie by far, and what he's been able to do with a decimated Chicago roster is still so impressive in and of itself. And just like Connor McDavid, he had a freak injury in his rookie season and got 3rd in the Calder Trophy race. I think his hardware cupboard is still looking pretty good right now. But that's just the thing. With elite prospects, they're projecting Bedard to finish with 73 games played and 62 points. Of course, that's not factoring the games that he will still likely miss, so he'll probably be around that 55-point, 60-point range when it's all said and done. Do you vote for the 55-point-ish 18-year-old who's put up some pretty poor defensive results, but has put up the results he's done offensively on a horrible team? Or do you go for Brock Faber, who has done it all at 21 years old, will probably be around that 50-point pace, and will play a full season with steady defense on a team that's really needed it? To me, I could see either way, especially with Bedard and the situation he was in just being poor from day one. But in Faber's case, again, if we're voting on just purely the best rookie overall, it's hard not to vote for the 21-year-old D. I will say, if I had to vote for the Calder Trophy today, it would pretty much be a tie between the two, but considering what Faber is doing, the consistency he has brought for the Minnesota Wild and still somehow dragging them into a playoff position, I would go, of course, Brock Faber, number 1, and Connor Bedard, number 2. If there was a gun to my head, that's what I would do. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Now again, Blackhawks fans, that doesn't mean I hate Bedard. Bedard is sick. He's going to be sick, and he's going to win multiple cups. If you think I like voting for a Minnesota Wild player for the Calder Trophy, I'm a Dallas Stars fan. I have trauma with this. But I want to know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of this Calder Trophy race? Who do you vote for? If you had to vote for it today, would it go to Brock Faber? Would it go to Connor Bedard? Or are you a crazy person? Do you go for a Connor Zary, a Marco Rossi, or an Adam Fantilli? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Of course, I want to know all your thoughts, and of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and I want to see you guys as well share the video with all the hockey fans you guys know online, and click on this card for all of my hockey prospects talk right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I hope you have a great hockey day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.